Alright, today we're going to be doing buildings only, where we're going to try to just do all the buildings I have with the Electro Spirit and Fire Spirit to just cycle them through. And I already played 2 games with them. The first game, I rolled the first guy. The second game, I don't want to talk about it. The second game was just, this guy was actually trying a little too hard against my deck. So we're going to get right into it. And hopefully we at least get somebody that is a lobotomite. That wizard is just doing work. Oh no, everything's gone. No. No. What am I supposed to do? I only have towers. How am I supposed to do this? No, stop, please, please. Please stop. I have a family. Not another wizard. So that sucks. Probably one of my worst strategies yet. I don't even know why I call it a strategy. It's literally just called losing. But anyways, what I want to talk about today is just uh, kind of how you gotta keep on doing something until you reach the goal you set out for yourself. Or like, you kind of reach the point where where you want to be, you know? Why does everyone have wizard? Jesus Christ. Please don't pair me up with these losers. But yeah, pretty much the premise of this video I want to talk about is hair's in the way. Is that, you got to keep on doing the same thing pretty much over and over and over again till you kind of reach the point where you're like, yes, I'm happy with myself, or like, I finally reached a certain point where it feels good, where like I reached my certain goal and I feel successful, you know? That is kind of the entire point of this video. It's just talking about how like consistency and enjoyment. Where's my hands? There we go. Where consistency and enjoyment kind of fuse together, and they kind of make who you are and what you want to do. Or if you do something long enough for a long period of time, just day in, day out, sooner or later you're gonna succeed at it. And everyone's term for succession is a little different, you know? Like, I view succession as, honestly, I don't even know yet. I'm just kind of doing it until I feel accomplished with it. I don't think I have any goals just yet for what I'm doing here on like YouTube and everything. I think it's literally just to have fun right now. Have fun and try my best to, I guess make something out of it. And I guess that's where I could say that that's the goal, is to make something out of it, and to make something out of it is to, I guess, be able to afford what I want through what I'm doing. I think that's the best way to put it. Is I want to be able to afford like living expenses, going out every once in a while, doing all these types of things simply off of what I'm doing here. I think that's how Succession is for me right now. But the enjoyment part is just doing it, the consistency of doing it every single day. Of course, I try to do it every single day, but sometimes you know, you have other things happen. You go out and do something else, if someone else is like, hey, let's do this instead of, like, oh, hey, I'm bored. And I'm over here like, I'm not bored. But the other person's like, well, I'm bored, so do what I want to do, you know? that's kind of how it is. It's you know, it's no one's fault. No one's, at fault or anything like that. It's just sometimes other people are bored and you're just not with it. And I think that's where some of the consistency can come from. Is that you don't really get bored with it. You kind of just keep on doing it over and over again. You know, it's like eating the same food every single day. And I know some people are like, I can't eat the same food every day. I get bored of it. I'm over here like, go, go ahead and make me a taco. I will take that every single day. Or, chicken and rice or something. Give me that. I will gladly eat that every day, all day long. And I'm not even joking about that either. And I think the topic got a little off track. Just a little bit. But yeah, pretty much the point is you just got to keep on doing it over and over again. And one day something will happen that you're like, yes, this is what I've been waiting for. That is literally all that life kind of is a little bit. It's like you just doing the same thing every single day until something new happens. Or you figure out that like, hey, this new thing is more fun than the old thing. And that's how you kind of get your enjoyment out of the day. It's a very long, tedious process. But it's a very necessary, long, tedious process. It's kind of like going to school, or like for like medical or something like that. If you want to be a PA student or like a doctor, you're gonna have to go through a lot of just, you know, suck. You're gonna have to go through a lot of that, something that just sucks. And it's a whole like weeding people out process. That's why they do those selections every year, where it's all about weeding people out. Like, hey, you aren't fit to do this. And that's kind of the process for, I guess, me right now is as well, or like YouTube and everything. Hee 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 ha ha. Sorry, I had to do that to him. He was angry. But I think that's the process of it all. And I think where a lot of people, stop is right where they start. And I think that is the truest thing of all time. Where people start exactly where they start. No. People stop exactly where they start. And that's like a huge issue. Because I feel like you could easily just keep doing it. You know? It's not like you just stopped for no reason. You had a reason. Maybe you got bored, you got burnt out. Maybe someone was, was, maybe a friend of yours was like, messing with you or like making fun of you for doing it. And it's like, well, the point is to just do it. That's the whole point. You're not doing this to, impress someone on. Unless you are, well, you can do that if you want to, but I would say it's just not worth it in the end. Trying to impress someone. I say what's most worth it is doing it for yourself and your own enjoyment. That's where those two kind of interlink together. And over time you start to realize that hey, this is what I want to do. It starts making more and more sense to you. Where like I'm doing YouTube right now. Of course, I've always been wanting to do it. I've always wanted to do it and have fun with it, but I never actually kept up with it. I've always, started, stopped, started, and stopped. That that is literally my entire process on YouTube or like everything else actually. I start something and then I instantly stop it because I either get, bored with it. I stop, I guess doing what I want maybe. I don't really know. I think it's more of like it starts to become work rather than fun. And that's another point where a lot of people start to, I guess, fall behind. Is where, oh my god, look at this push. Holy crap. I wanted to push it up there, but it's kind of where that's where a lot of people start to fall and, stop where they started. They got nowhere with it, but they got bored with it. So that, that's where they just stop. I literally had like a whole lawn. He had a fireball this entire time. What is he doing? He could have won the game. He had wizard fire. He had wizard fireball barbs. I can Valkyrie. Like, what are you doing, man? Shoy021 wrote, I'm bad at the game and I somehow beat you. Like how does that even work? But yeah, I had like a whole paragraph. I wrote this last night when I was going to bed, where it's literally just, what am I even supposed to say here? I don't know. Oh, I guess another thing is like where you gotta kind of push past a certain blockade, or something's blocking you, where you're like, hey, I'm having some fun with this, or I stopped having fun with it, and now it's just become like a tedious process for you. And I think where that all stems from is, all right, we're okay. I hold that thought. Hold that thought. Oh no. You see, this guy actually has a functioning frontal lobe, or so he played Wizard way in the back, and he got a whole big old push going. And my cards are too expensive to do anything. Oh my god. Okay. Oh no, I don't have enough of anything. Alright. I have to hold out at least 15 seconds. But by 15 seconds, he's gonna have pretty much everything to come from behind and do very bad things to me. So I don't want that to happen, but I think I'm gonna have to do that. And a really big thing is, oh yeah, I guess a really big like extra thing is what I learned from job shadowing um a CRNA is where he's kind of like, you gotta embrace the suck. It's gonna you're gonna have, not the best of times going through nursing school and CRNA school and everything. So you're just gonna have to just struggle and try to make it through, you know? That's pretty much what he said, is like, you're gonna have to just embrace that it's gonna be bad. And this guy's exactly what I didn't want to meet up with. Like, oops. Well, that sucked, but let's open up these lucky drops. That's a 3. That's 63 bombers. That's another 3. 13 giants, actually pretty good. 3-star again. 63 minions.